Let's be honest, we've all done it. You're walking down the street, maybe you're running late, maybe you're pushing a buggy, or maybe you're just lost in a daydream. You see a glint on the pavement, a single earring, a cheap-looking ring, a broken bit of chain. 99 times out of 100, we keep walking. It's junk, right? It's costume jewelry. It's not for us. But what about that one time? What if that little piece of junk was anything but? This is the kind of story that feels more like a fairy tale than real life. It's the dream that fuels shows like Antiques Roadshow. The hope that the dusty painting in your attic or the weird vase you use as a doorstop is actually a long-lost treasure. For one incredibly lucky woman, that fairy tale came true. And it all started on the side of a street. The discovery that sat in a drawer for 20 years. Imagine the scene. A young mother out with her daughter in her buggy. It's a normal day in Hinchley Wood, Surrey. As she pushes the pram, something shiny catches her eye. She stops, leans over, and picks up a bracelet. It's heavy. It looks old, but it also looks a bit, well, gaudy. It has a big VR cipher on the front, picked out in what looks like blue stones. Her first thought? It's a fake. A convincing piece of costume jewelry, maybe, but nothing more. Still, it was interesting. Being a good citizen, she did exactly what you're supposed to do. She took her strange find to the local police station and handed it in. Found property, she probably said, perhaps feeling a little silly turning in something that was likely worthless. The police dutifully logged it and gave her the standard reply. If no one claims it in 3 months, it's yours. Of course, no one claimed it. Who would? Who even knew it was lost? So 3 months later, she went back and collected the bracelet. And for the next 20 years, that's where the story stalled. The bracelet sat. Maybe it was in a jewelry box, maybe it was tucked in the back of a drawer. It was an interesting trinket, a fun story to tell. You'll never guess what I found. But not something she ever considered to be valuable. The what-if moment. Then the Antiques Roadshow came to town, setting up at the Brooklands Museum. This is the moment every owner of an interesting object dreams of. Spurred on by 2 decades of curiosity, the woman decided it was time to finally get an answer. She dusted off the bracelet and brought it in, expecting an expert to politely tell her it was a lovely Victorian-era fake. When she sat down with expert Susan Rumfitt, she relayed her story. I literally found it in the street, she explained. I don't think it is gold, but I assume that the VR is for Victoria. I would like to know more about it. You can almost see the expert's quiet thrill. This is what they live for. Susan turned the bracelet over in her hands. The VR was indeed for Queen Victoria. The stones were turquoise, and the assumption that it wasn't gold, incorrect. The fact is, Susan began, this is an amazing piece of jewelry, and it would have originally belonged to Queen Victoria herself. The guest's reaction was immediate and wonderfully human. She burst out laughing, completely floored. You're joking, she gasped. Then, with perfect comedic timing, she added, she didn't lose it in the street in Hinchley Wood. Susan smiled. Absolutely not, no. No, she didn't. A gift from the Queen. Susan then explained what this piece truly was. Queen Victoria, she said, was renowned for giving out presents to people that she really cared about and who were very important to her. This bracelet was one of those gifts. But the VR cipher wasn't even the most incredible part. The central locket, Susan explained, wasn't just decorative. It was almost certainly a mourning locket, and inside, we can probably be pretty sure that on the back, in the locket, is a lock of her hair. A shiver down the spine moment. This woman wasn't just holding a piece of old gold, she was holding a piece of Queen Victoria herself. As for the lack of a hallmark, which had probably contributed to the guests' belief it was fake, Susan explained they simply weren't required for jewelry in the Victorian period. And then the moment everyone waits for, the valuation. Value-wise, Susan said, because of the association, we'll probably be looking at somewhere between £4,000 and £6,000. The guest's jaw dropped. Wow, Oak, that was a surprise. Finding £6,000 on the street. Can you even imagine? For 20 years, she'd had a queen's gift, complete with royal hair, sitting in her house, and she'd had no idea. It was the perfect Antiques Roadshow story. But the story doesn't end there. The mystery solved by a stranger. The episode aired, part of a special edition to mark the coronation of King Charles IE. The guest went home delighted with her newfound treasure, and across the country an eagle-eyed viewer sat up, pointed at